we were talking about motherhood. Like part of the reason I'm so late is because I had to get the baby to bed.
Mhm.
And it's like I keep thinking about motherhood, how under capitalism, it's like this extremely essential job that is very difficult, that is not compensated, and we sort of like value things by how much we compensate them. And so we really devalue motherhood in our society and pretty much all societies. Like capitalism does not recognize motherhood. It's just a job that you're supposed to do for free. And it's like, but I feel like producing great humans should be seen as a great as profit under capitalism. Like that's like a huge social good. Like every awesome human that gets made adds so much to the world. So like if that was integrated into the profit structure, then and if we potentially found a way to compensate motherhood.
So come up with a compensation that's much broader than just money, or
Or it could just be money. Like, what if you just made? I don't know, but I don't know how you'd pay for that. Like, I mean, that's where you start getting into.
reallocation of resources that people get upset over.
But like, what if we made like a motherhood DAO?
Yeah.
And used it to fund like single mothers, like pay for making babies.
So, I mean, if you create and put beautiful things out into the world, that could be companies, that can be bridges, that could be art, that could be a lot of things, and that could be children, which are
or education or
anything that should be valued by society, and that should be somehow incorporated into the framework of what as a market of what, like, if you contribute children to this world, that should be valued and respected and sort of celebrated, like proportional to what it is, which is it's the thing that fuels human civilization.
Yeah, like
it's kind of important.
I feel like everyone's always saying, I mean, I think we're in very different social spheres, but everyone's always saying like dismantle capitalism. And I'm like, well, okay, well, I don't think the government should own everything. Like, I don't think we should not have private ownership. Like, that's scary. Like that starts getting into weird stuff and just sort of like, I feel like there's almost no way to do that without a police state,
Yeah.
But obviously capitalism has some major flaws. And I think actually Mac showed me this idea called social capitalism, which is a form of capitalism that just like considers social good to be also profit. Like, it's like right now companies need to, like, you're supposed to grow every quarter or whatever to like show that you're functioning well. But it's like, okay, well, what if you kept the same amount of profit, you're still in the green, but then you have also all this social good? Like, do you really need all this extra economic growth, or could you add this social good and that counts? And I don't know if I am not an economist. I have no idea how this could be achieved, but
I don't think economists know how anything can be achieved either, but they pretend. It's the thing. They construct a model and they go on TV shows and sound like an expert. That's the definition of an economist. How did becoming a mother, change you as a human being, would you say?
Man, I think it kind of changed everything, and it's still changing me a lot. It's actually changing me more right now in this moment than it was before.
Like today? Like this?
Just like in the most recent months and stuff.
Can you elucidate that? How change, like when you wake up in the morning and you look at yourself, it's again, who are you? How have you become different, would you say?
I think it's just really reorienting my priorities. And at first I was really fighting against that because I somehow felt it was like a failure of feminism or something. Like I felt like it was like bad if like my kids started mattering more than my work. And then like more recently I started sort of analyzing that thought in myself and being like, that's also kind of a construct. It's like we've just devalued motherhood so much in our culture that like I feel guilty for caring about my kids more than I care about my work.
So feminism includes breaking out of whatever the construct is. So
yeah,
just continually breaking. It's like freedom, empower you to be free, and that means
but it also, but like being a mother, like I'm so much more creative. Like I cannot believe the massive amount of great brain growth that I
Why do
have.
you think that is? Just because like the stakes are higher somehow?
I think it's like, it's just so trippy watching
Yeah.
consciousness emerge. It's just like, it's like going on a crazy journey or something. It's like the craziest science fiction novel you could ever read. It's just so crazy watching consciousness
Yeah.
come into being. And then at the same time, like you're forced to value your time so much. Like when I have creative time now, it's so sacred. I need to like be really freaking on it. But the other thing is that um I used to just be like a cynic, and I used to just want to, like, my last album was called Misanthropocene, and it was like this like, it was like a study in villainy, like, or like it was like, well, what if, you know, we have, instead of the old gods, we have like new gods, and it's like misanthropocene is like misanthrope, like, and Anthropocene, which is like the, you know, like, and she's the goddess of climate change or whatever, and she's like destroying the world, and it was just like, it was like dark, and it was like a study in villainy, and it was sort of just like I used to like have no problem just making cynical, angry, scary art. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think having kids just makes you such an optimist. It just inherently makes you want to be an optimist so bad that like I feel like a more responsibility to make more optimistic things. And I get a lot of shit for it because everyone's like, "Oh, you're so privileged. Stop talking about like pie in the sky, stupid concepts, and and focus on like the now." But it's like, um, I think if we don't ideate about um futures that could be good, we won't be able to get them. If everything is Blade Runner, then we're going to end up with Blade Runner. It's like, as we said earlier, life imitates art. Like life really does imitate art. And so we really need more protopian or utopian art. I think this is incredibly essential for the future of humanity. And I think the current discourse where that's seen as a thinking about protopia or utopia is seen as a dismissal of the problems that we currently have. I think that is an incorrect mindset.
Yeah.
And like having kids just makes me want to imagine amazing futures that like maybe I won't be able to build, but they will be able to build if they want to.